Hello and welcome back to the Adobe live stream here at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival. I am super excited to be here with filmmakers Susane Lee and Andrew Olsen from the project susaneLand, which is playing in the Indie Episodic section here at the festival. Welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about susaneLand. What is the project about?
The project is 5 episodes. It's a dark comedy, loosely based on my life. And they're like very snapshot vignettes, basically, of things that we have taken that actually happened to me, blown out, like very surreal or abstract or bizarre. But that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. And I think we have a short teaser if we want to cut to the teaser so our audience can check it out.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, congratulations again, you guys.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind all of the audience in the live stream that we will be taking questions from the live stream, so feel free to put your questions in the comments section. But let's start off just talking about how you guys first started working together.
Yes, we've been collaborating before this project even took place. We first knew each other through the improv world. We had hosted a weekly improv show. And from there we started doing short videos, and then this was our first foray into episodic the world. And
Yeah, the first thing we worked on was she did a rap video called Dream Big, and
On YouTube?
yes,
yeah, it's on
Right.
YouTube.
Dream big, everybody go look for it.
So we kind of worked on that. I didn't shoot that, that was someone else, but we worked on like the actual rap and stuff together. And then from there we decided to do, a few years later, little mockumentary trailer called The Girl Who Couldn't Get High, also on YouTube. And so there was that one, and then we were like, let's try and, we're trying to like
expand our
baby
vision.
steps,
Yes.
trying to go from a rap song, here's a little trailer, it was about 2-something minutes long, so then we said, let's try and do a series. And we had been kicking around like different ideas for a series, and then this seemed to make the most sense in terms of something that's unique to Susane. And so we wrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it, and then fundraised and stuff like that.
And so did you write all 5 episodes before you went into production, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you bring up fundraising. So how did you go about funding the project and pulling together your crew?
Yes, we fundraised twice actually. Lesson, guys. Our first fundraising was through Kickstarter, and we didn't meet the goal. So that means you lose everything. So it was devastating.
We were a little overconfident.
I
We
know.
were like, yeah, we're gonna make this.
We got it. We
Yeah.
got it. And it didn't happen. And people were so encouraging, and they said just go again, go right away. So we launched Indiegogo.
Okay.
So we did a campaign right away on Indiegogo.
Within weeks, like we were
Yeah,
like, let's
super
just get
fast.
this going.
And then within that, we met our goal, and then we were off to the races.
Our new goal.
Our new goal.
It was different from the
making
original
it.
goal.
Right, and actually, Sundance is only premiering the first 3.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Of the 5, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then your crew, I mean, you guys co-wrote, you
Yes.
acted in the
Correct.
series, also co-edited.
Yes.
Tell us about your roles and then
Yes.
the rest of the crew, how you pulled the crew together.
For sure.
Okay, so we are the creators. We actually wrote this together as well. I acted in it as well, and then I became an editor. I became an editor because of susaneLand. And then your role.
Oh, I co-created, wrote, and directed it.
Okay.
And wrote a little music and stuff for it.
Oh
So,
yes,
yeah.
you did the composing as well. Our first phone call out was to Alex Gaynor. He is an incredible DP, and I collaborated with him before on another project, another short, and he's the first person we brought on board, and he brought on his crew, and it kind of just went from there.
That was really helpful because he has a core group of people that he's really used to working, and these were there were constraints, with during the production of it in terms of how much time we had.
Right.
We shot 5 episodes in 4 days.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah,
it was intense.
But I will say they weren't all, these episodes range from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. This is kind of a short form thing. So, there wasn't like 10 pages a day, but it was still, we had to shoot 2 episodes in 1 day at 2 different locations, and that got a little hairy. But so that was super important, having everyone on behind the camera know each other and have worked together. I think that helped us get as much done as we got done.
And from the looks of the teaser, it's not a small cast. I mean, you have quite a few.
Oh yes,
characters
and that was
so.
Jamie Rudofsky,
Okay.
casting director. I knew she cast me in Gilmore Girls, and
cool.
that was my first theatrical role. So reached out to her, and she was a huge part of bringing this diverse talent, introducing us to a lot of the talent that we went with, and also there were a few that we just knew from the improv world that we loved working with, so we brought them on board too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
And now you mentioned that you became an editor for this
Yes.
project. So this was your first foray into editing, both of you?
Kind of. I mean, like we said, the first time we started using Premiere was on The Girl Who Gonna Get High, that mockumentary thing, and we both edited that as well. But that was really short, and we kind of threw it together. But this is where we really had to like dive in and learn a lot of the aspects of the program. And but we both work together. I think our roles when it comes to editing is I get sort of overwhelmed with the amount of footage, and then she can like
I can just throw it in there, put it together, and then he's the fine tuner.
Yeah,
so
sort of
it was a
fine-tuning.
good little partnership.
Nice.
Yeah, it was super helpful.
And so how did you learn Premiere Pro? We're going to make a show. Let's figure out how to do this.
Oh my God. YouTube tutorials, guys.
Okay.
That's where to go.
And that Linda.
Oh, and the Lynda. There's
Lynda.com.
Lynda.com.
Great.
Amazing tutorials on anything. Like just Google it, whatever you need to know, and that's.
But there was that one, I think her name was Ashley Kennedy on Lynda.com.
Oh yeah,
who
she's great.
She breaks
She's
it
a great
down.
trainer.
really breaks it down, and she's just very what's the word I'm looking for?
Comprehensive?
Yeah, comprehensive
Yeah.
and just really specific about stuff, and it makes sense. So that was crucial, to.
And so when it came to choosing what you were going to edit on, why did you choose Premiere Pro?
I think we just already had an affinity toward it. I think I used Photoshop before.
Okay.
A limited reason, but we just had the massive program, like the online subscription.
Yeah, she's talking about the Creative Cloud.
Yes.
So the reason why we picked Premiere is there's, as you know, other editing programs out there, but that was the one, just from talking to people, I don't know, it just seemed to make
user-friendly.
Make the most sense, user-friendly,
Yeah.
and we just wanted, I was editing on a PC, so she has a Mac, but it's a really old Mac, so in order for me to use it, the other things just weren't going to work for that. So I don't know. I opened it. I tried it, and I was like, let's just do this. And so yeah, it worked.
Great.
Any favorite features or things that you really liked about working in the program? I mean, I'm really impressed. I have to say, I'm very impressed. Your first real jump into editing, and you're here at Sundance.
I think I just love just the layout and how everything is just like even moving the windows or how you want to arrange the format, the look of it, custom designing what works best for you. That was very easy, and for me, it's just. A lot of the quick hand tools, it's just everything is just it was just, I would say again, user friendly. It's just like you can figure it out if you just spend the time to invest in it, and it's doable. It's very doable.
Yeah, and I think for me during the editing process, using the Lumetri color correction just for quick stuff to get stuff to match. So when we're sitting there watching it, it doesn't go from this to this, and so it's not distracting. That's super helpful, and that became easier with the update because it used to be kind of, not as all in one place as it is now when you pop in the Lumetri on a clip. So
awesome.
Yeah, it was super helpful.
So we actually have a first question from the live stream.
Oh, wow.
Ali Khan asks, can you tell me how you came up with the concept? Any tips for dark comedy filmmaking?
how we came up with the concept. I think it was just looking back over what happened in my life, and there was a lot of weird things that happened, and I think that is the jumping point. And then I think my sense of humor, I've just always gravitated toward dark comedy. You know, like I love, you know, Fleabag, Atlanta. I mean, there's a lot of, I think that just speaks to me. And even our improv also, everyone would always say it's pretty on the dark side.
I mean, sometimes, but you know.
Yes, it could go dark.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of what you have an affinity toward. And I guess just writing from your own, I think, experiences and using that as a jumping off point.
And then when the transition from, you know, page to screen, were there times where you felt like, okay, we need to lighten this up, or, oh, you know, maybe this is getting too dark, or how did you sort of balance that?
I don't think we did. I think we were trying, you know, I think getting back to that question about, you know, how did it all come about, the idea was like, we were kicking around stuff, how do we do something that's unique to Susane, and how do we do something that's unique to our voice, like, you know, in a comedic sense or whatever. And so we just started, here was an idea, or here was a story, how can we do that and kind of, you know, embellish it a little bit and, you know, just put our sort of spin on it. And the idea with this was to go, don't like edit yourself. It was kind of like, let's try and do something just how we wanted to do it.
Right.
And I mean, we try to make things funny, and, you know, we try, you know, to keep it comedic, but we really wanted this to sort of, I don't know, stand out, I guess, you know, away from what's sort of current. We didn't want it to be just like everything else that's out there, especially when it comes to comedic web series.
And, you know, it reminds me actually of the conversation I had with John Cooper, the director of Sundance yesterday, said, you know, really, if you're telling stories from your voice, from your perspective that interest you, then that's what's going to come off as authentic, and you're really going to be able to dig in.
Yeah, we are so grateful to be here. And
we're so grateful. But
it's been a whirlwind.
But getting back to what you're saying with that, I think we saw other people doing that, you know, whoever it is in their careers. And so we were like, God, that sounds like a good idea. Why don't we just take things from your life and keep it about you? And then I think it does read more authentic, or at least unique or something.
Yeah. And I know from talking previously that it was really important for you not only to have diversity in front of the camera, but also as part of your crew. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it was that's what we basically set out. Our mission was to create a show that was reflective of our world today, that's just diverse. And so we, especially with casting, that's what we told Jamie. And so all of our principal roles were women or people of color, except for one.
Who was in fact disabled.
Oh, wow.
So the one,
And then behind the crew, we had so many people that we brought on board too, like our production designer, Esther Song Kim. We had, terms of,
we had
Joe,
Joe Kennedy was our costume designer. We had, you know, so
Esther Kim and Chao Hu were
our sound designers,
people,
Cindy Takahara,
Vicky Chan, our makeup artist. So
all these people,
all
Albie
these
Winbush.
People we brought on, we were like, and my producer's a female. We're like, you know, we wanted to.
Gina Kim, Gina Kim was the second AC. Nito Serna was the first AC. So, anyways, we tried to.
Oh, it was a diverse casting crew, and
those
it
are
was
all
awesome.
we're mentioning them because those are all diverse individuals.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then in the storylines, were there also parts of the actual themes in the episodes that touch on the diversity of the cast, or it's just like, this is life and we happen to Exactly.
Yes, that is exactly what we set out to do.
Very
it's like,
cool.
This is the world and this is how we see it, and it's hopefully reflected back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so jumping back into your workflow, in editing, you used Premiere Pro. I also know that you use some other Adobe tools came into play. Can you tell us about those?
Yes.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, you start off.
So for Sundance, they were like, we need all this stuff, and one was like a poster, and we're like, poster? Like,
trailer?
We didn't even think we were getting into Sundance.
Finish the project.
Actually, no, they asked for that, and we still weren't done with the project yet. So then we had to sort of go. So we didn't.
Gosh. This happened over the holidays too, so it was like trying to find people to help us. It was really tough.
We weren't expecting to get into Sundance, and then you get in, and they're kind of like, we need all this, and then, you know, we went through the process of trying to, you know, create a poster and stuff, and it came down to basically the same way we did susaneLand was let's just do it ourselves, even though that's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
We opened up Photoshop, again, tutorials. And Alex Gainer, the GP, is well versed in this stuff. So he was like, okay, do this in Photoshop.
He coached us over the phone.
Literally, from Kentucky. He was spending holidays with his family on the phone.
So sorry, we have questions.
And then he was like, take it from Photoshop and bring it into Illustrator for the text and all that. And so
you're like, Illustrator.
Yeah. What?
Okay.
But what was great is us being subscribers of the Creative Cloud. We have all these
access to everything.
We're like Illustrator. Nope. On the list, we got it. Photoshop, we got it, and so that was
some tutorials.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that was great. It was super
all
helpful.
In one place.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
We got another question from the live stream. Kat asks, "What challenges have you faced as a woman in the industry? I guess both as an actor and now as a director, producer."
I'm not director.
Oh, producer.
I think there's. As an Asian actress, I would say there are many challenges, and I think that was the impetus to create susaneLand to begin with. There weren't many roles or opportunities coming my way, and if they were, they just weren't that satisfying. You'll go in, come out, and that's it.
You're the best friend. Or
if we're being honest.
Or stereotypical roles that aren't, something that I want to keep persisting. But yeah, I think from that's why we had to create susaneLand. So it gives an opportunity to showcase a lot of different talents, in front and behind the scene. But I think it's so great. I feel like there is a shift happening. The movement is wonderful, and that our voices are being heard. And I think it's amazing time right now to be a creator.
Yeah, especially here at the festival this year. If you look at the lineup of films, there's not only a number of films that are about women, but there's also so many female directors, female editors, producers. It's really exciting.
It's so great.
Yeah. So when you set out to make this show, did you have it in your minds that that Sundance was something you wanted to go for? Did it come later? How did that happen?
Yeah. I'm gonna just say that was all her doing, because I was kind of like, festivals, and she was like, no, let's just do it. And I was like, okay, let's.
It's been on my dream board, guys. It's been on my dream board. The Sundance little logo. I found it in a magazine I think it was a Laurel from 2017, and I put it on my little dream board. And when I got the call, I was like, oh my god, it happened. So it's amazing. Dreambirds work. No, I'm just saying it's a lot of hard work, but I mean, I should put it out there because it's always been a dream of mine to attend with a project, and I've never been here, and to come with a project that we actually created ourselves is nothing more than, it's so satisfying, so amazing, and it's really a blessing. So I'm really happy to be here. Yeah,
tell us the story about when you got the call that you were accepted.
Oh, it was
I would love to tell that story. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. We just got an email, and they were.
Oh, okay.
And
we were on the couch.
Oh, right. We were on the couch.
First.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna say it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So he gets it. He's like, oh my god. So check your email, and I thought something horrible happened.
Right, some tragedy.
It was a tragedy, and then
it's the dark comedy of your life.
So I'm like, what happened? And it was so is this really happening? And I'm gonna say it, we both cried.
Oh,
yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah, it was such a long journey, and it's a little bit of validation that we created something special, I think.
And sort of a long journey, but then just the start of another
long
journey.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it? I mean, you just arrived yesterday?
Yeah.
And how has it been so far?
It's so great. I love the snow. But it was daytime. I was like, we prepared for blizzards. I think we overpacked. And during the day, I was like, oh, this is great. I can take it.
Well, it hasn't started snowing crazy yet, so we'll figure it.
And
tomorrow.
Then last night it was freezing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was really cool.
So I told everyone, I was like, don't worry about it, guys. I was telling the people, because they're coming. We have a lot of crewing later. And then they're like, okay, that's great. And then I was like, scratch that. It's really cold.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to start blizzarding tomorrow.
Yeah. That'll be exciting.
So I want to take a step back. You talked about the projects that you did before this,
Yes.
and that they were much smaller in scale.
Yes.
So how did you, I mean, did you have mentors for this? Like, how did you take the leap into feeling like you were ready? I just know that a lot of our audience are aspiring, you know, filmmakers, people who want, and I think a lot of times it's that fear of taking that first leap. I don't know what I'm doing, so I have to wait until I am fully prepared and I know everything until I actually start doing this.
Yeah.
I think it's just a necessity. Like, we've just seen too many other people who you hear about and they created their own web series, or, you know, if it's like Issa Rae from Insecure, she had this web series called Awkward Black Girl, and that was something she just did. And she threw it, and you just sort of figure it out, and you can see, if you watch her web series, you can see the progression. You know what I mean? I think it starts off early. You know, it starts to, you know, she starts to grow, you know, through that web series. And I think for us, no one else was, you know, the phone wasn't ringing, man.
Right.
So if we weren't going to do it, then nothing was going to happen. And so it was, and especially like what she was saying about being you know, having an Asian female lead. I mean, it's just not happening right now. And that this was the only way it's really, because to answer your question, it was the only option as we saw it.
And it does, I say, you just have to do it. I mean, I think it's a little overwhelming, because I don't think when we took on the project, we were even thinking about all the other aspects that happen in terms of like insurance. You need to do, you know, everything. And so I think there were a lot of expensive mistakes made, but we still learned from doing it, and you just have to do it. And it's amazing when you put out feelers in terms of, we need this. How many people
say yes, you know?
Yeah, or
you
like,
just ask.
yes, for locations, just mentioning the project, what we're trying to do. They were willing to let us shoot there for very, not their standard rate. You know, I think I just believe in the project. So I just say, don't wait. And if you have an idea, just start it. Because once the wheels start happening, I mean, like, there are people who are more than happy to help, I think. Yeah.
And when you guys went into the edit, you mentioned that, you know, can you talk a little bit about your collaborative process, how you worked together as editors?
Yeah, we have one computer.
Yeah, we have one computer. PC.
Yes.
She works on Mac, so it was a little transition for her there.
Right.
But yeah, I think, you know, she looks at things on a macro level. I mean, we both do, but she leans to a macro level, and I lean to sort of the micro rhythm vibe. You know, how do we get this to sort of flow type thing? And yeah, it was really helpful, because I think for either of us to have to do all of it would be
too much, I
just
think.
daunting. Just because it's, again, we just start, you know, maybe the next project, or it'll be less, but
to do, we had to do 5 episodes, and amongst us, it was a lot of work. So it was really good that we had, you know, we were able to split off a lot of the work.
And one thing that helped, and also our DP gave us a lot of editing notes. He's like, he's a, you know, a director of photography, but he's like a, you know, a cinema guy, and so he had a lot of notes that we took, and we shot in February.
Okay.
We didn't finish this till you know, a month ago, or, you know, when color was done and everything.
Right.
When the fire really got put on there.
Right. Yeah. When they said you're going to Sundance, so we said, oh, we gotta get this thing graded. But what happened was we got a lot of time to sit with edits. I know it seems silly because some of these things are 2 to 5 minutes, but this is our first time, and if we had done what maybe other people do, which is you shoot something and try and get it out as quick as possible, it would not be what you see today. We did whole edits, we did drafts of edits, you know, and we re-edited it and tried to approach it from a different way, and we took things out and then we put them back in, you know. But we lived with things for months, and that was really helpful. You know, maybe that won't take that amount of time for the next project, but for this one, we just wanted to get it as right as we could, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And did you do test screenings? Like, did you show it to people and go back to the edit, or you just marinated?
No, we really didn't. Yeah.
Not anybody.
Except for Alex Gaynor, the DP.
Yeah, but nobody. So that's why we were like, I think there's a little bit of fear of sharing their work out there, and it's like, will people get it? Will they understand? Is this weird? Too weird? And so I don't think we really wanted it out there and then we put it out to
Now
Sundance.
it's really going to be
now
up.
that was going to really be
I
up
mean,
there.
it's really a handful of people who have seen it, which is
Right,
bizarre
yeah.
to be sitting here and like talking. And no one's seen it. It's,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be weird. I think at the premiere,
Yeah.
being in a room and you know why? Because this is a comedy. Comedies, you know,
Yeah.
it's a very
You're like holding your breath for
I
how people
know.
are going to react.
yeah, and it's very immediate. It's not like you can watch a dramatic film and you can't really tell what the
Right.
vibe is, but the comedy is gonna be pretty immediate. So
Yeah. You mentioned this just now, but any other like techniques or workflow things that you felt like you learned or iterated on through the process that you might do differently next time?
The sync sound.
I was about to say the
Oh
same
God,
thing.
yes.
So I can't give you a good answer for this,
And
but
Andrew,
yeah.
actually, we haven't mentioned that you actually come from a music background.
I
Yes?
do, yeah. That's so. Having worked in like Cubase and these other digital audio stuff, going from that to Premiere, it's very similar. There's strips of things on a screen, and but so that was helpful. So it wasn't like just walking into this thing and going, oh, what is I had some idea, that was helpful. What were we talking about?
Oh, the sync sound.
Sync
Oh, the sync sound. So what
Oh,
happened
my
was. I can't give you a good reason, actually any reason why this happened, but we didn't do like time code and sync the sound. So we had to use like the clapper thing for every piece of footage. So
We
so we would do
manually-
anyways.
Line everything up.
Yeah, that took that took a lot of time, and just added steps. So we would definitely use is it called time code? Sync? What is it? Yep, time code. Yep.
Yes.
We would definitely do that.
Recommend that because that would have probably saved a lot of hours.
Yeah, and we only had a
Editing
few
room.
sync. I mean, you would imagine, God, you had a few sync. We only had like one or two. We're really proud of our being able to line up that. We only didn't only like a couple of sync things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we'd use, okay, so if there was a sync problem and something was off, we would use I forget the name of the tool. It's Y on the keyboard. This thing that lets you slide this thing, a frame here or a frame there.
The slip tool?
Is it slip? Maybe it is slip.
Yeah, it is slip, yeah.
Yeah, the slip tool. Anyways, it's
Great.
awesome. Yeah. Ripple edit, I think, is something we learned
discovered
about
later, though.
later.
Right? Later,
Right.
we're like, oh,
Oh my God. I don't have to press A and move
everything
everything
over. Oh my
back
God.
here.
Yes. But we're learning. We
Yeah,
were learning as we went.
I think
along,
we're
so-
still learning.
Yeah,
I think there's still
right.
aspects of it, we
Absolutely.
could get,
I mean,
get
I think
better
there
at.
are people who are, 40 years into being professional editors that are still learning. So.
Totally.
So what is your hope for this series?
Hope would be to develop SusaneLand into like a half-hour
Comedy, yeah.
half-hour comedy, and for it to find a home that shares our vision for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of recognizes its, unique voice, we'd say.
Yeah.
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 And so have you written any of the longer
Longer forms.
form script, or are you
We
sort of
have-
waiting to see what happens?
We're waiting to see what happens, but we also have like if we needed to do season 2 of shorter form, we could definitely do that. But for the half hour, we're waiting. We want to develop.
We have ideas, and
Yeah.
we're still, so, yes.
We're open.
Yes.
We're
yeah.
definitely open to develop this.
Awesome.
But we do have ideas in the direction we want to take it for
Yeah,
sure
absolutely.
to expand it.
Now, any advice that you have for our audience or aspiring filmmakers, people that would like to
Yeah.
be in your shoes?
I would say just go for it. Don't wait for permission. And anything and everything is possible. I mean, like, I'm sitting right here and I'm attending Sundance, which has been on my dream board for so many years. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing if you just set out to do, just go for it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
I would say
advice.
similar thing where if all you have is a camera, then, if all you have is your phone, use a phone, graduate to things. When we started off, I had a Panasonic GH3 and I bought some lenses, but that doesn't have to be the starting point. The starting point can be anything. You can borrow stuff.
Right.
I guess ultimately is how what we've learned, it's how we got here, is do something.
Yeah.
Don't, like she was saying, don't wait, invest in writing, you invest your time in writing, invest your time in shooting. But because the same thing with Issa Rae, you know, it's not, they started off, you know, Awkward Black Girl looks very different than Insecure, you know?
Right.
And so you can see the graduation of that. So don't worry about where you're starting, you know, just
start.
Get on that road and write stuff, find a camera, you know, if all you have is a phone, use your phone. If you don't like that and you don't want to release stuff that you've done on your phone, then at some point get a camera, reshoot it with that camera.
Yep.
You know, you can, there are steps you can take, but the worst thing you can do is nothing. So if you have an idea and there's something that you want to get done, if you want to be a filmmaker or a writer, start doing that in one way or the other. Because if you don't, just because I think for a while, even for us, you know, we were sitting around going, what do we do? You know, time will pass, you know, and you might have an idea that's really relevant to the times right now, and don't wait.
Yeah, and you know, it goes back to the idea of diversity of voice too, that because of this democratization of the ability to make things, right? Like that cost prohibitiveness is no longer as much of an issue. While when you're trying to up the quality of what you're making, obviously it costs more, the higher quality, but I think it's really exciting that because it's accessible, that more people and more, you know, diverse stories can be told and find their way out there.
Yeah.
One cool thing that even on like the newer iPhone, you know, if you have like an iPhone from the last few years, before, like I'm just trying to say for people starting out, is like the camera on my phone still does it, but iPhone now sort of compensates for like the shakiness factor, and that's huge. I mean, that shakiness, I didn't like that in our stuff, or stuff that I've worked on previously, but little stuff like that, it's starting to become easier to make stuff. You know, if all you have is an iPhone, that's still a decent place to start, you know. So it's getting back to what you're saying about you know, advice and stuff.
Well, there was a movie that was all shot on the
like Tangerine was all shot.
Who the director Sean Baker directed the Florida Project.
The Florida Project, that's right.
And getting all sorts of exciting buzz this year.
Oscar buzz.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you. I mean, I want to check in with the live stream audience to see if we have any more questions before we sign off. But it's been so nice to chat with you guys.
Thank you so much.
So
again
when
for having us.
is two questions actually to finish up. When is the premiere? And how, if the audience is wanting to keep up with SusaneLand and what's happening with you guys, how can they do that?
The premiere is the 23rd, Tuesday at 6:30 at the Ray. And we have a website, susaneland.com.
SUSANELAND.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll be linking some different links to your interview with Sundance and some of that stuff in the on-demand version of the live stream, so people can check it out.
And we're all across social, you know, Twitter,
Twitter,
Instagram, we got
give
all
us your
that.
handles. So how can people follow you?
Yeah, it's at SusaneLand _ on Twitter and Instagram.
Correct.
And then SusaneLand series on Facebook.
Very cool.
So
thank you guys
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
being
Thank
here.
you. We appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you to the live stream audience for tuning in. Be sure to stick with us daily live here from 2018 Sundance Film Festival.